Yo, Corey, it's game day, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, it is. Thank God.
Let's go. It's been what? How long since? Oh
Too
my
many
God,
days.
too many
Too
days,
many
bro.
days. Too many days.
I'm so
You
excited
got
for game day.
you get those butterflies again. Nervous for what the team's gonna look like, how they're gonna come out and play.
Dude.
So I'm just ready.
Yeah, I'm ready,
We
bro.
gotta. Yeah, I mean, a lot of opportunity for the Big Ten today. A lot of
Oh,
opportunity
we
for the
have.
Big Ten to.
Go ahead, yeah.
No, I was gonna say I mean, a lot of Big Ten teams are favored today, so we should have a good day. But talking about, night game with Penn State, West Virginia, you'd like to see Penn State come out and put a hurting on West Virginia and like to see them
Oh, in prime time,
roll.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ohio State and Michigan, you just kind of assume they'll probably win by 3+, 4+ touchdowns. Just because those teams are inferior and you have a couple others, but there's a couple opportunities for teams that you'd like to see, Northwesterns, Rutgers, those kinds of teams maybe pick
Yeah.
up a win, maybe pick up a win if they can.
Well, Rutgers plays Northwestern here this week, so
Oh,
one of those teams
one
are
of them.
gonna. One of them
Yeah,
will get a win, at
yeah,
least.
but like Illinois, we need a good showing from Illinois.
Versus Toledo, absolutely.
You'd
Um,
like to see Purdue get a good win.
you would like to see Purdue get a good win here at noon. Speaking about that Purdue game, for everybody watching here, we will have um our going to be our field analyst here that we like to call. Our field analyst, his name is Dave Hoops. Dave Hoops. He will be attending the Fresno Purdue game here this afternoon at noon. So he'll be joining the show on his walk to the stadium. He's got a sideline pass, he told us, so he'll be joining us then again from the sidelines inside the stadium. So that will be a cool little thing to have, right? Um, but core out of these games though, um, obviously outside of like our games, in the Ohio State and Michigan, um, which game are you not just like not just the Big Ten, but what game are you really looking at looking forward to this weekend? Because we got games like pretty much every day this week.
Yeah,
Looking
so I mean,
forward
I'm
to
really
this.
interested to see Colorado and TCU. Obviously, Coach Prime is back. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. Put money on Colorado just because I think TCU's not as good as people think they are, and Colorado's got some studs. So seemed like a good bet to me. I also am really interested in Penn State, West Virginia. I know it's a Big Ten game, but I mean, Penn State has all the focus. Everyone is predicting them to be really, really good. And it feels like this may be an opportunity for them to just come out and play not good and let West Virginia hang around and potentially beat them. So I think Penn State is a that's kind of my team to watch for the Big Ten this week, just because you want to see them come out and dominate the competition like they should.
Yeah. Um,
What
you
about
know,
you? What game do you want to watch?
what game do I want to watch? Outside
Besides
of
all of them.
yeah,
Besides all of them.
besides my normal Ohio State schedule here, um, let me take a look here. There's a few games actually that I have that I would really like to see. TCU Colorado. I feel like that's going to be a good game. Um, oh, look who it is. Ethan's here.
So
Let me bring him into the screen here.
there's all kinds of good games this week. There's like
Yep.
7 games this week.
Um, I'm really looking forward to TCU Colorado. Just to see what Colorado looks like with Coach Prime. Um, when I'm looking down the list too, there's another good game here. I think Tennessee at Virginia is going to be a good game, or sorry, Virginia at Tennessee is going to be a good game. This is the first game that Virginia has played since the campus shooting that took the lives of two of their players last season. So that's going to be like an emotional, an emotional day for them. Um, where there's another good one down here too.
Tomorrow night, right? Tomorrow night
Yeah,
is
yep, that's the
Florida State LSU.
Florida State LSU Sunday. That's going to be a massive game. And if you want to talk about early, season games that have playoff implications, that's one of them right there. Circle that game.
I think for Florida State, it's a must win if you want to make the playoff.
I don't think it's a must win for Florida State. It's a must win for LSU if you want to make the playoff.
I don't know if
I
either
don't.
team can afford this. LSU has a path in with a loss here. I think
Yes.
Florida
Yeah, just
State
because the SEC. Florida
doesn't.
State
You're
does
not getting.
not.
Florida State
You
just has
can't
to go through Clemson.
in Miami. Miami's not Miami, but still Miami and North Carolina if they
Yeah.
play each other.
Yep. Speaking
Uh,
of North Carolina, that was the other game I was looking forward to this evening was the North Carolina South Carolina game. Drake May versus Spencer Rattler.
yeah, they're playing that in
So
Charlotte too. Tennessee's
Yep.
playing at the Titan Stadium. They're playing at the Panther Stadium.
Yep.
If you just want to watch good football, Toledo at Illinois. And I would say one other one that you didn't mention that's worth a watch if you're up late. Coastal Carolina at UCLA. I think that one's going to be fun.
You
I
could
don't
go to
know that
that game
there's.
for tickets as low as $11.
And it's at the Rose Bowl, a
Yep.
premier college football stadium.
if
Oh
you're
yeah.
in the area,
If you're in the California area, yeah.
Hey, it starts at 7:30 night. Yeah,
yeah.
that wasn't really a big portion of my personal life, but that's a huge loss for a lot of places, a
Yeah.
lot of people.
Yep. Um, I love Jimmy Buffett. He was a good artist, always sang the feel good songs. Um, just a good guy. Just my dad raised me on Jimmy Buffett, so it was just like, oh crap, just want to mention that. But man, we had a weird start to the college football season, um, especially for like the Big Ten yesterday. Let's just talk a little bit about that, or not yesterday, sorry, Thursday night. Let's talk a little bit about that Nebraska Minnesota game. And what you guys saw out of like those two teams respectively.
It's the same old Nebraska losing one score games again.
Gave it away.
Yeah, I mean, although there was a false start on the touchdown pass for Minnesota, regardless, that was an insane catch.
Amazing.
And
Oh, it was a great catch.
I mean, I feel like you kind of got what you would expect from Minnesota. Minnesota's not going to be flashy. They're going to play defense and they're going to be hard nosed. That's exactly what you saw. Nebraska left way too many points on the field. Throwing an interception right before halftime instead of just taking the field goal to me was just a bad coaching move.
I was watching right there.
I also, I mean, like, I also don't understand how if you run the read option and you run for 15 yards every time, why you stop doing that and try to throw the ball. I mean, seemed like it was working up and down the field, just couldn't get in the end zone. Also had a little higher hopes for Jeff Sims, and he kind of. It seems like if you can stop him from running the football, you might beat Nebraska. It's kind of what it seems like.
Yeah. I can't believe that Kelly McManus threw it 44 times for less than 200 yards.
No joke, right?
I mean, Jeff Sims had a better average, obviously a worse QBR, but the last 2 minutes were really the best parts of the game. I'm an old person. I was in bed, but I watched the third quarter. Watched the interception at the half. Tim's looked rough. It's week one stuff, guys. It's going to
Yeah.
happen. There's going to be teams that don't show up that need to show up. That was a need to show up game for both of those teams, and PJ Fleck got his guys up higher.
That's true. One thing I noticed, so remember when Minnesota kicked that 54-yard field goal and missed it
Mm-hmm.
during that game? So I was talking with my wife, and and she was like, "I can't believe like you would kick a 54-yard field goal. Like you're not gonna make that, right?" So I did a little digging into some stats, okay?
I was going to say, not necessarily, but I don't know
Well,
what you
listen to
found.
this. Listen to this. This is interesting, okay? College football kickers from 50 plus yards are 42% makeability rate. So they have a 42% success rate for kicking a 50 plus yard field goal. Okay.
That's three out of every seven.
Okay. Not well, four. Okay, so we'll go 4 out of 10, right?
Sure.
Okay. The GOAT kicker, the GOAT, Justin Tucker, okay, is 75% from 50 plus.
In college?
Nope. Just in general, like in the pros, like he's just, you know, he's 75%. So when you like break it down by the numbers, if the GOAT is at 75% and you're at 42, why wouldn't you just punt the ball instead of risking missing that, because you have a 60% chance you're going to miss that field goal, and then they have the ball at what, like the 40-yard line, instead of, if you punt it and it gets a touchback, they just get the ball at the 20 or 25.
I mean, I think it's a number of things. I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like, what was their third down play before then? Were
Right.
you at like 3rd and 5 and you could have ran the ball to get to like 4th and 2 and then just gone for it?
Right.
That's kind of that would have been my thinking more so than trying a 50-yard field goal. I mean, your stat, to me just depends. Last year Michigan's kicker was Jake Moody, and he was really good from beyond 40 and 50 yards. Sure, he missed a few, of course, always, but he was pretty solid from 50 yards. So, I mean, it's all about what the coach thinks, I guess, in that moment. Personally, I don't like it. I just go for it or punt the football.
Right.
Um, Nebraska totally gave that game away, though. Nebraska should have won that game. There's no reason why they shouldn't have won that game. They dominated on defense, which was a little surprising to me with all the newcomers they had. Their defense played really well. Now, again, it's Minnesota. It's Minnesota's offense. But still, I mean, their defense basically won them that game, and their offense let them down. I mean,
The
when you're
offense
at
was a
like,
big, big hole. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, 10 points, 13 points. You give
Yeah,
up
but
10. You give up 10 points.
and then you had what, three turnovers from your quarterback alone. Once in the half, which would have put you up 7-3.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was rough. It was a rough game for Nebraska, and Matt Rule's got his work cut out for him.
yeah, they had four total turnovers.
That they did. And Sims threw what, like two picks?
Three,
Three?
three.
Yeah, that's not
So let's see here. Jake Moody was 4 of 10 from 50 plus in his career.
he was 4 of 10,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
40%. He was right on that. He was the statistic line.
Yeah, but I mean, it's you know, you're not going to run your freshman kicker out there to kick a 54-yarder unless you know that he can do it and you've seen him do it. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I would more so go back to that first, second and third down plays to see what you could have done, because once I mean, it's no joke. Once you get close to field goal range, your goal is to get one more first down or get 5 yards closer to make it a 40-yard field goal. You
Hmm.
know, so to me, not doing that is just on the coach.
True.
Yes.
Um, I just always liked. I just go back to like what Urban always said. You gotta play your percentages, right? Like when you're in the red zone, you need to score 80% of the time, like touchdowns, not just kick field goals, right? So like
Hmm.
there's certain like they broke he like used to break like the games down into like those types of sections. Like if we have the ball to start on this yard line and we get to the red zone, we need to score a touchdown 80% of the time, right? So like when you play those numbers, to me, it just always seems like as a coach, you should actually like you should kind of know those things. Like, okay, my kicker is 40%, it has a 40% make rate on these types of kicks. Now, is that 40% worth it at this time in the game? You know, like obviously, like I mean, if you're in like the last seconds and you have to kick a 54-yard field goal to tie or win the game, you got to kick the field goal, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Tucker was 50% in college. He was 2 of 4 from 50 plus back at Texas.
yeah. I mean, so he was like then again above I mean, and he's the GOAT. Like he's the GOAT kicker, and he only was making it 50% of the time. I mean, I guess you could
Never
live with,
missed an extra point.
dude. He didn't miss an extra point until they moved it back in the NFL. Like he's
He's
only
kind of good.
missed. Yeah, I was looking up like some of Justin Tucker's stats. Like this dude is like 178 and or like 169 to like 100 and something for like PATs made since they moved it back.
Well, what year did they move it back?
I don't know.
He missed 1 in 18, 2 in 19, 1 in
Yeah,
20,
but he's only
and
missed
one
like
in 22.
yeah,
He's
he's
missed
only
five
five. Think about that. Drew's
in his
here with
career.
us. What's going on, big guy?
What up, brothers?
He's missed five in his career. What up,
Yeah,
man?
Pitiful. Who?
Justin Tucker.
Tucker, as a pro,
Oh my
missed
God.
5 extra points
In his
in 10
entire
years.
career.
Correct.
Impressive.
You got kickers in the league missing 5 in a game.
He's
Hey,
got a
York.
90.5 field goal percent, and he's 413 of 418 for extra points.
What, he's only missed like 30 something field goals ever?
38
38, yeah.
out of 401.
Yeah, 401 and this dude's missed 38 field goals. Drew, brought this on to catch you up, what brought this on was
With a
Minnesota's
long of 66.
Yeah, with the long of 66. So, but what brought this up was Minnesota's kicker. They decided to kick that 54-yarder. So I
Mhm.
looked up some like stats, like, oh, I wonder what the college make rate is, right, of a 54 plus yard field goal or 50 plus, and it was 42%. So then I was like, okay, well, what is Justin Tucker? Like, he's the GOAT of all the kickers, right? Like, what is his percentage in the NFL making that? And it's 75. But then Ethan, our numbers guy, pulled it up and was like, no, in college, he was 50%. So again, he's above
Oh, okay.
he's just above the average of all time.
Yeah, he was 2 of 4. He's actually only
Yeah.
like 71% in the pros.
Yeah.
He's 57 out of 80.
Well,
But touche. I mean, he's good.
yeah. Also, let's just give a little shout out here to Jeff Brom getting his first win at Louisville last night on a comeback
Love
win
it.
against
Yeah, dude.
That
Georgia
was
Tech.
wild. That
Congrats.
was a wild game.
I didn't
Yeah.
get to watch any last night.
I fell asleep during that game, and I'm kind of sad now that when I looked up the score, I was like, oh crap, I missed an epic fourth quarter then.
Fumble return for a touchdown. Flip the
Saw
game
that.
upside down.
That's what I saw here.
Going back now.
Drew, we've kind of given our games here that we're looking forward to today. What's a game outside of the Big Ten that you're looking for?
Well, for obvious reasons, Bowling Green is playing at Liberty, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Liberty with their brand new coaching staff, they lost a lot of talent. BG returns a lot, so I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, I think Boise at Washington is going to be awesome. Can't miss that one. And then South Bama and Tulane is going to be my main event. It's going to be awesome, I think. Okay. And I'm also looking forward to, for a Big Ten team, I'm looking forward to West Virginia, Penn State.
Yep.
I'm hoping that WV can get their shit together this year.
Rattle the chain a little bit. Yeah. Rattle the cage or whatever they call it.
See if we can keep Neil Brown lingering on for a little bit longer.
So I said, if you're watching a late cap, Coastal Carolina at UCLA would be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Toledo, Illinois, North South Carolina. There's games all day. I mean, just pick something and watch it. You don't even have to like the teams. Fresno State at Purdue, game. La Tech, SMU, game. Northern Illinois, Boston College.
I'll watch any game that's not on Disney or ESPN.
Or Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
If we're in that train,
Well, Corey has Spectrum, so he can't watch ESPN games.
You can't say that about people.
They literally don't have the channel. I was to say, he literally can't. Like, even if he wanted to go to ESPN, he couldn't. Yeah.
Well, technically, I can watch the channel. It's just a little blurb from Spectrum saying that they're working with Disney to try to get the channel back.
My grandparents can't watch Fox, because they're fighting with DirecTV. So it's just a blurb saying, "We're sorry. Go fuck yourself."
Yep.
So
so you can actually turn the channel on. It just gives you a message saying this channel is currently unavailable due to us in negotiations. Great.
Yeah, contract dispute. Yep. And then it puts like a QR code on there.
I was gonna say, Corey, you have the YouTube TV account, so if you want to just log into it and use it.
There's nothing on ESPN that I want to watch today. Big Noon Kickoff is on, Nick, by the way.
Oh, is it? Let me switch over to Big Noon Kickoff. There we go.
I'd say if I was going to a local game today.
Here you go. Here you go, Nick.
I don't know.
Yep. It's a fun thing. Saying that they offer Disney a fair deal, but they're demanding more. Good stuff.
Boring.
How much more money do you need?
Right.
Well, that's the era of life we're in, unfortunately.
Which then
always more. More. The answer's always more.
I think that's constant through all human history.
It's true.
Not lying.
Anybody see that? Anybody see that catch by that Michigan State receiver? That was sweet.
No, I did not. I did not watch Sparty last night. But they got a 31-7 victory over
did not
CMU.
Look good.
Central
they did not look good.
Yeah, dude. Central was dog shit, and Sparty did not look very good as well.
They didn't.
No.
Okay.
31 points, but they were ugly from what I heard.
Yeah. Except for that one catch. That was cool.
Speaking of ugly, did you see senior high got thumped up in Massillon?
Did we really?
51-10.
Jeez.
Damn.
I'm glad I did not travel to that game.
We are not the real
Vogel
Tiger.
Played football? Did you know Vogel played football at Lexington? D line and receiver. Lexington's wonder kid. Like the future of all Lexington sports.
He's
really good. Yeah. And then one of Madison's kids, I don't know if he transferred, but he plays football for Lexington too. He was one of their basketball studs, their point guard, Seven Allen. So I'm like, I didn't know. I still say Lexington can make a Final Four run if they're coached right.
So we got thumped, huh?
Yeah, we didn't show up.
Good
Did
thing
you guys
But
talk?
it is
Did you guys talk about mini Nebraska at all?
a little bit.
a little bit.
What's your insights?
Yeah. What's your
Man,
insight
dude.
on that?
Nebraska's
Throw
the same.
Oh man, dude! All 3 of Jeff Sims' interceptions were fucking terrible.
The
Like
one at the half
overthrows.
was bad.
He was staring receivers down. Like, oh man, that Nebraska's passing attack is dog shit.
Horrible.
But their rushing attack could be quite legit. I like what they were doing on the ground between Gabe Irvin and Sims. But
That was
Sims seemed slow. When I was watching him, I thought he was slow.
he has that deceiving speed like Terrell Pryor used to have. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like
He is a little bigger, yeah.
he just looks like he's slow, but like when you if you look at his stride, he's taking like one step every like 4 yards. You know? So it's like he doesn't, it's not like Denard Robinson who was just
Yeah.
like running out like he looks like a bat out of hell coming out of the backfield. This guy's just like Terrell Pryor, very lanky runner.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I feel like he's running like a 4.9, 4.8. Not very intimidating.
Probably is.
Probably ran like a 5.5.
That would be terrible.
I just-
I thought Callie Ekmanis was fucking slinging the rock for Minnesota. He was putting some velocity on those throws.
Yeah, it was. He
It
looked
was-
good.
I was
He looked
digging it.
good.
I was digging it.
were they all checkdowns? I mean, 24-44
Majority,
for
yeah.
196 yards.
Yeah, a lot of
I mean-
his was not over 10-yard throws.
This game was so fucking boring. Like both teams, you could tell it was week 1. Like, neither team looked like they were ready.
Alive.
Yeah. Disappointing a little bit.
I would have, yeah. Well, and to be fair though, Nebraska got hosed on a call too. Right before like the half when Sims threw that pick in the end zone, right when they had like 2nd and goal or whatever it was.
Bad. Yeah.
Yeah, that horrible
I don't
interception.
understand anything that happened there, and it cost them a timeout.
Yeah, so what happened was, okay, so they said that the running back was short of the goal line, right?
Right.
So then Nebraska Nebraska lined back up to do the QB sneak. They threw a flag for a false start.
Which was true. The whole left side of the
Line moved. You're not wrong. But then what happened is Nebraska had to take a timeout to avoid the 10-second runoff so they could still run another play before halftime, right?
But then they were still reviewing.
But then, well, right, because they didn't technically have a quote-unquote legal snap of the ball because of the false start penalty. They were able to go back and review if the running back was short or not. But on review, the running back had his elbow came down and the ball was clearly across the line with no other part of his body down, right? So his elbow came down, which would quote-unquote his knee, right? And the ball
down.
was across. Yeah, but the ball broke the plane of the goal line.
Every
Before
angle I
his-
saw showed he was short.
The angle
Looked short
the
to me.
angle they were showing on TV showed his elbow was down and the ball was across the plane. So
The old JT Barrett play.
So to me it was like and even the one announcer was like, this potentially is going to get overturned because the ball crossed the plane, his elbow is down, after
Yeah.
the ball crosses the plane, and then they still were like, ruling on the field stands.
Yeah, but the other announcer was like, "Yeah, he's definitely short." Like they were both
They
on
were
opposite ends of
yeah,
the coin.
yeah.
He looked short
that's
to
not-
me.
But that's not why they lost.
No.
First of all, I don't understand the play calling from the 2-yard line.
I mean, slang a ball right to the Minnesota linebacker.
I mean, I don't understand the play call. You literally got down the field that fast because you ran QB option. Fake to the running back, run the ball in the end zone.
Nebraska should be only running split veers, 6 plays like Novocaine.
Give it time, it will work.
Well, it
Don't-
will, because you're going to have to, at some point, if you key in on the quarterback and he hands it off, the running back's going to have
And-
a hole.
Well, that's
So it's just a matter of, but all we heard all year was how Matt Rule's going to bring an awesome offense, and that was not an awesome offense.
No, sir.
no,
That's one-dimensional offense that Nebraska wins 2 games if they play like that all year.
Nebraska doesn't look like they're going to win any games if they play like that all year.
No, they look weak on the left side, don't they, Drew? Very weak.
Very weak on the
Well,
left.
I mean,
especially.
there was no discipline. First
He's
of all,
not.
like
He's
on a
not
real
blocking.
note.
He's not blocking. It's not a pass. It's a run.
It should be interesting next week when they travel to Colorado. I mean, we
I'd
still don't
love
know
to
what
travel to Colorado.
we don't know what Colorado is going to look like, so we'll find out today. But it should be pretty interesting.
I would absolutely love to travel to Colorado for that game.
Yeah, me
I
too.
feel like Colorado is going to be just fine.
I agree. I mean,
I think
I
they'll
took-
be
I
all
bet
right
him. I bet him today
You
plus
did?
700
to win.
to win. Plus 700.
ooh, they're only plus 20. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Maybe
I
take
mean,
the
but
cover,
how good?
take your 20
how
bucks
good
back.
how good is TCU? TCU lost a bunch.
They returned 10 starters,
True.
so it's a coin flip to me. I mean, I just looking at a blank piece of paper, you've got half your team back, you're a coin flip.
To me, the best player on the field is Travis Hunter, and he's going to be on the field both sides.
Better than Shador? I mean, even I'm just
okay,
saying.
even still. So Shadur's the best player on the field. Okay, Colorado still should win.
Exactly,
At
but
that
still,
point.
that's not the point.
I just think Colorado will score on TCU. I think it's going to be, to me, it's going to end up being like a 4 or 5 touchdown each game. So 42-35, things like that. And I feel like the higher the game goes, the
better
more
chance.
the more likely that Colorado can win.
My thing is how fast did Dion get the team disciplined? How he wants them to be disciplined? Like, are they all on board already? Does he have all of his stuff set and ready to go? I mean, it's dangerous. They can be a dangerous team this year. Everyone says 4-8, this and that. I think they make a bowl game at minimum.
Yeah, well, you should bet the over win total. It's 3.5 right now.
I got to add money to my FanDuel account. I took money back into my DraftKings so I could get some bets, but
I mean, you don't know what you're going to get from Colorado, but
Nebraska cost me all my money Thursday.
You saw a bunch of talent come in. They have stud corners.
My biggest question with Colorado is the depth. I don't think they have a second team offense or defense, let alone third string. I just highly question their depth, and I'm sure late in the season they're just going to get run over a few times.
When it could be they could play well for 2.5, 3 quarters, and in the fourth quarter just have nothing
Just be
left
gassed.
Yeah.
right. So, but
Where's the bulk
mean-
of their schedule at?
That's my biggest concern with Colorado's depth.
it was a big line for me because I feel like they should be getting more respect. And TCU, although they played for a national title last year, losing your quarterback, your number one receiver, regardless of what you return on defense, you're still going to have question marks on offense. And I think Colorado's got a good secondary.
3.5 is feasible. But yeah, this schedule
4
is
wins,
friendly.
I think 4 wins. Well, right, but the thing is if they win this game today, all of a sudden their win total is going to be like 8.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with
I don't
that.
know. I mean, if they win today, they start 3-0. I'll just throw that prediction out there right now.
Oof.
And then I
Because
need
then-
them to win. Then I need them to win 1 out of the next 8.
Who?
Yeah,
Colorado.
Oh,
Colorado. If you win at TCU today, you're winning against Nebraska, you're winning against Colorado State, and you're going into Eugene 3-0 versus 3-0 Ducks. You're going to get a primetime game, and then you're going to get the shit kicked out of you, and then you're going to go to USC and get the shit kicked out of you. You win the next two, Arizona State, Stanford, take a bye, beat UCLA, get thumped by the Beavers, beat the Wildcats, the Cougars, and get thumped by the Utes. I mean, you just lose to the Big Four. It's a bowl game.
Yeah. Speaking of the Pac-12, though, did you guys see?
Keep the Pac-12 alive.
Yeah, did you guys
That's
see
right.
Oregon?
Just roll everybody in.
Oregon
Just elevate the
State
mountain.
and
It's going to be the Mountain 12.
Well, what
Do
was
it.
it? Oregon. What was it? Oregon State and Washington State said
That's it.
said we are committed to the Pac-12. Sorry, the Tupac
we're-
now.
Given a bag.
And the Tupac, we're committed to Tupac, and we are gonna steal some FBS schools, some Group of Five. Now, let's just be honest. This is the end of the Pac-12 being a Power 5 conference.
Is it?
Yes.
You sure?
I don't think
How many power conferences are there?
at this point two.
Two.
At this point, you have two. And then you have the third conference who's like, hey, we still have some good teams here, in the ACC, and that's just because you have Florida State and Clemson, and Miami in the ACC. But like after that, like the Big 12, I mean, who does the Big 12 really have now? After this season, when Texas and Oklahoma leave.
Ouch, bro.
I mean, you're going to gain Utah, you're going to gain Colorado, you're going to gain some of these other schools, out of the Pac-12, like Arizona State, but, are you really replacing your blue-collar,
Can you
blue-chip?
replace Texas and Oklahoma, though?
No.
No, you can't.
I mean, but
I think they could have, yeah. I think they could have, because I think USC historically is like a Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah, they're already taken, though.
Well, right. I was just saying, like, when they left, when Oklahoma and Texas said that they were leaving, the Big 12 should have reached out to USC, Oregon, Washington. They should have been
the Big 12 should have taken Nebraska back. They should have never gotten rid of
100%.
Nebraska.
Yes.
They should have never gotten rid of Nebraska. That was the first problem that they did. Once that domino fell, they opened it up. It started to go downhill from there, in my opinion. Because really, over the last 10 years, it's been Oklahoma. That's it. Texas has been okay and has beaten Oklahoma a few times, but Texas has been hyped up. Oh, they're going to be a top 10 team, top 5 team. They're going to make the playoff. And they right to the bottom. So it's only been Oklahoma. So you're losing Oklahoma, who's the one team, and Texas is a big brand, so you lose that. You're never going to replace them. And people think the Big 12 will go downhill, but I mean, there's a 12-team playoff. One of those teams, whoever it is going to make the playoff just because they'll run the table or they'll have one loss. You can't not put them in, and you may be surprised. I mean, I think adding Cincinnati is a big win for the Big 12. Obviously, I went there too, but I mean, the other teams they added, I don't think are just pushovers. I mean, those teams are going to be, regardless of who comes out of the Big 12 and plays in the playoff, they're going to be the underdog. That's just the way it is. But, we've seen in bowl games in those high situations, Boise State beat Oklahoma, and Oklahoma should have potentially won the national title that year. I mean, I don't know that you can just discard the Big 12 just because they're losing Oklahoma,
right,
and Texas.
But those are still huge shoes to fill.
100%. Well, you're never going to fill them, and no brand is ever going to be. I mean, is there a bigger brand in college football than Texas?
See, that's a question that I don't quite understand.
I mean,
I guess I get that Texas is a top 5 brand in college football, but
yeah, I don't understand that. I don't get that.
I don't think that
you take it.
I don't think if you gave me a New York Yankees hat and said Texas football is this hat, those don't match to me. Because the Yankees are the biggest brand in sports.
I think if you take out the last 5 years for Texas, they are.
I don't
I get
know.
I get what
Maybe
you're
they're the
saying though,
Dodgers.
Ethan. I get
They
what
may
you're
be the
saying.
Dodgers. Like you could give me a Dodgers hat and say Texas are the Dodgers of
Of the
sports, and I'm
football,
saying
yeah.
okay, I'll give you that. But I don't think you could sit here and say Yankees hat, Texas Longhorns, biggest brand in college football. That doesn't. That's not how I. I don't know
See,
if I can answer that right now, like on the spot. But it could be a USD or an Ohio State to me. I think that if you gave me a Yankees
see,
hat,
if
I
I
don't
had
know
a
how I would do
Yankees
that.
hat, there's three programs that I could say would be up there with the new, like, quote unquote, being a Yankee of college football, right? Being the Yankees. I would say your three programs would be Ohio State, Alabama, and Michigan.
Alabama was very good as a historic program, but they've only been prominent lately. Alabama to me is the New England Patriots
Okay.
of football.
And I don't think
They're
I mean, you could say
New
Michigan, I
money.
guess, because they're the
Mhm.
winningest program. You could put Notre Dame in there too.
Yeah, I agree.
Notre
Notre
Dame.
Dame probably
That's
deserves to
yeah.
be in that conversation.
Mhm.
I mean,
But I
Because
don't
if you
think
look,
but I don't think I
if you
could
Florida
put
look at
potentially
Texas.
too. Florida or the U, they've always been good. They
yeah,
just haven't
exactly.
been good. They just because they haven't been good in the last 10 years doesn't mean they're
Yeah,
not good.
but let's just be honest with
Exa-
ourselves though. The last time the U was good was 2002.
Okay, but over a
Let's
10
just
year period,
They also underperformed.
Ohio State underperformed in a 10-year period 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So if
I
you're going to
mean,
say
90s.
that now, you're going to
well,
say that
no,
back
but
then
what I'm
too.
saying, well, yeah, but what
Yeah,
I'm saying though is like I'm just saying like in recent times, like okay, so when I
So if you
remember
want
the
to
U,
go that
hold
in
on,
re-
so hold on. But like what I'm saying though is like to me the U they dominated in the 80s or like the latter part of the 80s into the early 90s. They got struck with sanctions, came back in the late 90s and had like 3 good years after Butch Davis left. So like to me when I like think of the U, I kind of like would say like they're like the I don't know what other team you could compare them to, but I wouldn't consider them one of the biggest brands in college football, in my opinion. Like
the
I think
U.
it
where you would have,
I
but
think you could
like
argue that.
you can, but like I guess what I'm saying though is like when you look at like the history of college football, Michigan has been in the national landscape every most decades. You know, most decades they have been a team, a program you've talked about and everything, right? Ohio State,
I mean,
so is Ohio State, so is Notre Dame, but like I don't
so is
remember
Texas. They talk about Texas every
every year
single year.
they talk about them and they
Every
get built
single
up.
year.
You're not wrong,
But it depends on what you consider what factors you to pick the best team of all
you're
time.
not wrong.
Because if you go money wise, recruiting wise, national championship wise, players going to the NFL, Texas ranks up with every single one of those. Every single one of those categories, Texas will check. If you go side by side and look at it, sure, maybe they don't have as many national titles. Sure, they might not have as many conference championships. But depending on what you consider brand wise, to me, money, donors, things like that, they have their own effing network through ESPN. Not many college teams have that.
You're not
So,
wrong, but I also think that's
Mhm.
because of Texas and how they view football there.
So Texas has a 70% win rate all time, 936, 389, and 33. So they're closing in on 1,000 wins within a reasonable 10-year period here. They're over 500 for a bowl record all time, 31, 24, and 2, which most Big Ten teams can't say that. Ohio State's under 500. Michigan's at or under the mark. They've got 4 national titles. The last one was 05. 32 conference titles, huge rivalry with Oklahoma, their own network, 2 Heisman winners, 62 consensus All-Americans all
Yep,
time.
I was just looking that up. I was looking that up too. I
They're
guess
Nike. I guess I still don't compare them to a Yankees hat. I can't see them being the number one, but I also don't know who's going to fill that spot. They're number two. You can be a Red Sox hat. You can be a Dodgers hat. I just don't know who I would consider fills
See,
my
to
Yankees
me,
hat.
well, I was gonna say to me, the Red Sox Yankees are here in the baseball world, even though the Yankees dominated.
That's because you're a Red Sox.
Yeah,
It's a little
well,
biased.
it's a little biased
little
there, but
biased.
like,
20,
but like when you look at like the
27
history,
championships kind of says
says-
that they're the best.
well, 1000%. But like, I guess you could say 1A would be Yankees, 1B would be the Red Sox, just because of the history that the Red Sox have.
Dodgers. I would put the Dodgers.
Dodgers,
as the second
too.
hat.
And see, that's how we all differ.
Yeah,
Right.
Like, so
I
everyone's
look at
answer
the
is probably gonna be
history.
different.
Yeah, see, I look at the overall history of like the programs, when I'm ranking them like that. Like if you're going to talk overall, you got to take into consideration even though what these teams did before, let's just be honest, athletes were allowed to play football. Cuz when you go back to like the 40s and 50s and stuff, football wasn't as what it is today. But like that's what I was saying, like even with like the U, the U, they had those 2 dominant years in the early 2000s, 2001, 2002, right? And I think that's the memory that a lot of us hold on to with the U is those like teams,
Ken Dorsey teams,
the Ken Dorsey teams, the teams that The Rock was on back in the 80s.
the cocaine teams.
Yep, those guys, because even you look back at those teams, they had Hall of Famers on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at claimed national championships, I'd have to give the Yankees hat to Alabama. They've got 18 titles. I go back on what I said, but then you've got Michigan at 11, Notre Dame at 11. I mean, if you really want to go Yankees hat, Princeton has 28. So how are we scoring this here? Because 28 for Princeton, 27 for Yale. Most of those were pre-1930.
Yeah.
And like look at and like even search like here. Let's look up. I'm gonna look up Notre Dame football real quick.
But see, for me,
they've got 11.
Alabama is definitely up there. Alabama is definitely up there. But for me, the reason I think it separates is because although Alabama has had its run, they've been on an insane run. They weren't always on that run.
But they were.
But they weren't.
They had the run back in the 60s and 70s.
Okay, what about
Bear
90s?
Bryant.
What about early 2000s?
Well, right.
You didn't talk about Alabama. But I'm saying every single year when you look at it, I'm just comparing it to Texas, right? Because to me, every single year from since I've been born, Texas has always been talked about on college football. Every single year, regardless of what it is, they're always expected to be top 10, always supposed to be in a national title. They're not even, they have a lot of talent this year. To me, they wouldn't be on a Final Four, and people have them in the top 4 to start the year.
Uh-oh, here he is. Let's bring him in. He's coming in. Hoops, can you hear us?
He lost service.
God damn it, Richard Head.
That damn Richard. At first, I was like, did he just really put his name as Rich Rod? Like Rich Rob?
I thought it was Richard Roberts.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Dave, are you with us? Can you hear us?
No.
Nope. Richard, are you there? Dick, are you there, Dick?
Oh.
He won.
Uh-oh. Technical difficulties on Richard's end.
There's probably a million of other people right now. That's
Right.
probably why.
Dude, service is probably just going to get worse and worse.
Where's the game again?
Normal name out
Purdue.
there. Purdue.
Westlaw.
Westlaw.
Oh well, the service there, to begin with.
So just follow me all the way, okay? Point me if you have any questions.
Hello?
Oh. I got listen but no visual.
Richard, are you there, Richard?
Richard.
Yo,
Hey.
can you hear me?
Yeah, what? Oh, we can't see you because we got.
He's just too far away from the.
Yeah, you gotta get closer to the camera, bro. We got a
There you
thing.
go.
There we go. Yeah, there we go, Richard. Here, I'll take us off the
Richard,
immersion
Big
view.
dick.
I'll change
Take
this.
us off the immersion.
Yeah, I'll take us off the immersion view here.
Take off that immersion.
We'll just.
Nobody
go
needs that immersion.
How do I take us
today,
off?
Junior?
Stop. There we go. Okay, we're off the immersion view.
How's
We
it
got.
looking?
There we
Looking
go. Now we gotcha. What's that shirt say there? Hold on, guys. This is a very important thing. Dave Hoops always has the best shirts. Dave, what's that shirt say that you're wearing today?
Bud.
I can't. We can't read it here. You got to talk,
I'm trying to
dude.
dodge the Asians. They're just taking over the street here.
No, Lord.
So what's that shirt say, huh? Can you talk to us and say it?
Buddy? Can you put him as a front facing, or is it only whoever's talking? Because you're the main
Yeah, can you see
face
me?
on my screen. I can see you, hear you a little bit.
Well, as long as you can hear my audio, I guess that's all that matters.
There it is.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hey, Pac-12, any
Oh.
plans for next fall?
Let's go.
I love the bulldog at the bottom.
Yep.
I've had that
You get that
bulldog. Well,
Hey, man, did you get that shirt at Dick's?
yeah, that's right. That's what I'm going to tell somebody today. They're going to believe me too. There's people in the valley, they'll believe anything.
Nice hat.
Nice hat there,
Yeah.
champ.
Oh, you like that?
I like that.
Parked back
like
in the
that.
neighborhood like
Oh.
always.
That's a homemade hat right there.
So
Thanks
Dave,
to E6000 glue.
Richard, what's your expectations for this game here?
Man, I don't even know where to start on that. Well, I got the connection today. Me and Hoyle go way back to DC for Fresno State. We got the sideline passes today. So we're going to check out the sights and sounds, blend in with the California folk.
You have to get your surfer on before that
But-
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'll tell you what. This place is packed. Let's say about got an hour and 15 minutes before kick. I mean, it's pretty jam-packed with cars. Gonna cut through the forest here in a second. Head down on the main drag. But yeah, no, it's a pleasure to join your little show here.
Appreciate you coming on.
Big fan of the floating heads, buddy of mine, Big Ed Luff, likes to watch strictly for the floating heads. So had to get on this thing. But I see we got a number of celebrities on the panel today that are also in the floating heads. So it's a pleasure to meet all of you, I've always wanted to meet Charlie Day from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Hey now.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's true. And by God, is that Dave Attell there in the corner? That sure looks like Dave Attell.
At first, we
right.
thought you were Rich Roberts.
Oh, no.
Well,
That's rough.
I've held the same job for 13 years, so
Oh,
definitely not him. But
I've held the same job for 13 years, so I'm definitely not him.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, it does look, from the floating heads here. It looks like we got the greatest Cleveland Indians pitcher of all time, Andrew Philpott. I could be wrong, but is that him in the corner? Looks
That
awful
is.
similar. That's right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think most importantly, I think we should, talk about our host today, right? I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, I mean, this is the man.
Notes.
This host we got. I mean, this is a man that came all the way from Colorado to save North Central Ohio sports, Mr. Brian Skoronsky. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I've
Good
seen you in
God.
Subway before. I've seen you in Subway before
Somewhere.
out on Park Avenue. So, yep, it is a pleasure. So we're gonna walk through the forest here.
Okay. Is this just a little neighborhood around?
So you got to understand something. I don't like to pay for parking. I
I know
despise
about
paying
that.
for parking. So it's very important for us to park in residential. So
I'm trying to think the
I
longest walk we've ever made.
I always
Come along
remember
here.
the story I heard from a wise man one day while I was visiting Drew at his house. This guy named Dane comes downstairs and he goes, "My son's a jackass. Didn't pay for the parking garage and his car gets towed and wants me to deal with it."
Oh, I think
Who
you're talking
was
about. Yeah,
That-
you're talking about Ohio. You're talking about Ohio State, Penn State.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep,
2006.
I thought that was Ohio State. Yep.
it
I remember
was.
that.
Drew,
Yep.
you were like,
No.
he got his
Ed was
car.
mad,
He
dude.
was so mad.
It's funny.
Yep.
Got to be
So-
careful where you park.
No, that's a great spot where we park for Purdue games. Illinois
Love it.
spot's even better. It's right on the residential
Illinois-
road.
Illinois spot's fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, did you hear?
We're gonna get up to the road here, and you're gonna be able to see all the.
Did
all
you
the
guys
sights around.
did you guys see who's returning to the United Center this Saturday night tonight?
The worm.
Dennis Rodman, baby. He's
Back in
coming
wrestling.
back to the United Center for AEW Collision tonight.
Well, that sounds pretty.
Oh, hey,
exciting.
look, there's a scooter for you.
It's going to be boring without CM Punk.
They're just trying to not get thrashed in the ratings. They're gonna get thrashed in the ratings.
Tonight. Oh, well,
yeah,
duh.
there's too much football on.
That was a dumb thing to do it on
Well-
a Saturday night.
Especially the first week of football.
Yep. Oh, hey, Dave, ask these guys who they're rooting for today. See if
Sounds
you
like a
can't get a
great
little
idea.
fan
What are you rooting
interview.
for today?
Oh, I
what
wonder
does
who-
look like?
Oh, all right. Big Ten championship runner-up, huh? I don't think he's a fan.
Damn white people.
Richard here, he had a phenomenal
Yep.
shirt for the Big Ten championship game a few years ago. Chase Young took a loan out for Disney Plus.
And
Iconic
take that
shirt.
low, prior to NIL.
Let's ask Big Dick here who he thinks is the
Richard Head here.
Oh yeah,
who do you think is the New York Yankees brand of college football?
good question, Drew.
Man. Well, at one time it would have been the Miami Hurricanes, but that's kind of fallen by the wayside.
Whoa. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think back in context of the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s. You know, you got to think about that. So
Definitely.
probably Bama. Default to Bama. That's what I'm saying here.
It's fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
Bad.
I'll tell you what, $20 to the first person that can guess who my favorite quarterback for the Purdue Boilermakers are in the history of the university.
Drew Brees.
Everybody gets one guess. One guess.
That's your favorite quarterback in the history of Purdue football.
Yep.
Drew
Who is
Brees. Drew Brees.
Nope.
Oh boy.
Hey, it's good dogs.
Jeez, dude.
Getting to the Pac-12.
Man, I'm gonna go Mark Herman.
Hey. Yeah. Nope.
Shoot, dude, I don't know. Kyle Orton.
David Blow.
No, these are all boring.
David Blow.
David Blow, former Brownie.
Corey?
Jeff George.
Nope. Jeff George went to Illinois.
Tim Couch.
Look out for the UK.
Elijah Sindelar.
Wrong again.
What about
Why the Sins in the ACT? Because you guys would be stuck in.
Hudson
Danny
Card.
Nope.
Austin
Everybody give up.
Appleby.
Give
I'm
up.
just going off the top of my head here.
like
Robert
it.
Marr.
Greatest quarter. Now that is my second favorite. Everybody loves Robert Martyr.
Marr. Wow.
He's also old too.
I don't know.
All right.
Who you got?
Nobody wins $20. The great, the elite, Joey Elliott.
The coach?
Joey Elliott. Played
Kicker for
quarterback
the-
with the New Boilermakers, 2008. Joey Elliott.
For what, a
Oh, shit.
game and a half?
You don't know who I'm talking about?
1 year
No.
starter. 09.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't know who that is,
The actor?
Joey Elliott.
The actor?
Ah,
Yep, the actor.
led the Boilers
Curtis-
to a
Curtis
5-7
Painter right here.
record.
See Curtis Painter put on a little weight.
Yeah, you got me there. Yeah, Jeff
Well, be
George.
good
Went,
homework for you.
Jeff George went to
Watching
Purdue
Joey-
before he went to Illinois.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was on that. He was on that '84 Illinois team that they're going to be honoring tonight in Champaign.
84.
Transfer.
I believe
Yeah.
he was on that team.
He got
Was he not
drafted
on
in
the
90.
80? Okay, so he was not on the '84 Illinois team.
I don't
Was
think
that
so.
Jack Trudeau? Was Jack Trudeau the quarterback?
The Prime Minister of Canada?
Jack Trudeau.
Be a lot cooler if he was.
Hey, you got
Yeah.
you got a joint, man? Be a lot cooler if you did. All right, all right.
Hey, where's the ticket officer?
I don't know.
Reno, is it on that? Is it on that side?
It's I don't on that side. It used to be down on that side, but there's a little information that's right.
All right, sounds good. Well, got to pick up these sideline passes. Don't exactly know where to go.
That's
Kind of learn as you go.
I guess.
So, what topics have been on the show today?
We talked about Nebraska Minnesota game. What'd you think about that, Richard?
We can get the tickets at the box office to pick up. Pass through pass list. You go down that way?
So the ticket office is actually you go down. So Mackey,
Yeah.
Mackey's right here. So you go all the way down right here. That's where the ticket office.
Bro's doing too much right now.
Sounds good.
Yep, no worries.
Boiler
Poor
down.
camera lady.
Boiler down. What an idiot.
Yeah, there's a lot of, if people that are unfamiliar with our lingo and the nicknames that we have, one of my favorite ones that I picked up the
Purdue.
last year or so. No, that's boring. That's very juvenile. It's almost like junior high level. You need to go better than that. Here's one for you. How about the Purdue Manure Makers? Get it? Purdue Manure Makers. Big fan of that one.
That seems a little elementary.
Purdue.
It's like
Dude.
high school level, dude.
Well,
Yeah, that's
I'll tell you
very
what,
elementary.
Falling off the wayside here.
well, the IU fans sure like it.
I'm sure
IU
they
fans will
do.
do anything for enjoyment.
Those guys tip cows for enjoyment. Trust me, I know. My family lives in southern Indiana.
Well, going back to that Minnesota game, do you know Minnesota had a false start there on that tying field goal? Did you guys talk about that?
Ooh, did not see that.
Mhm.
False start on the tying
Yeah.
field goal should not have been allowed.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So, once again, Nebraska gets fucked. All right. Well
He said he
done.
loves the shirt. Hey, interview him, Dave. Interview him, Dave.
What's the score going to be today?
I think it's going to be close.
Yeah?
I think so. I mean, we're still figuring out who we are. So
Nice baseball
Yeah.
jersey right
You
there.
buying in
That's real
the card?
I like how he looks on paper.
Yeah.
That's real
I like how he looks on
He played well
paper.
against Alabama.
Dude's all about that.
He wouldn't have left Texas if he didn't.
Yeah.
Unless he's afraid of Manning.
We didn't hire drive-through Breeze as a consultant for 2 weeks for the three. Exactly.
Oh, when you got destroyed in the bowl game?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, that game didn't make sense. And we didn't win that game. did we? We just opted out.
No, that was just a nightmare, huh?
We opted out.
Millions of people had that nightmare at the same time. Yeah, that's what it was like.
Simultaneously.
Oh my word!
Yeah,
Where's
we
that?
opted out.
Where you buy that at?
Local store?
Yeah?
All right,
why-
James.
Oh.
I'm gonna jump off
I
here.
don't know.
You're gonna get
Like-
off.
Yeah, I gotta do a couple things.
Peace out, man. See you later.
See ya.
There's Corey's.
Balloons.
I gave you a gift of going away.
I'm ready to open it.
All right, we'll try it.
It's all beer. You know in the stadium too.
Is it?
That's a good beer.
All right, Dave. Chug. 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 Chug.
It's tailgate cup here.
Very nice.
Oh, that's a nice tailgate cup.
Are they here?
On TV.
Yeah. Is,
Chug it right
is
now.
Jay Lehman in the house?
I don't know. Let's see who is over there.
Yeah.
Allstott was down there.
Allstott's down there?
Oh yeah, he's the honorary
Nice.
captain for today.
Nice. Well, I'm going to be on the field, so I'm going to see if I can meet him.
Oh yeah, I would.
Yeah, just wave to me. I'll be down there.
I hope you're
All right. I don't know where that is, but,
It's on TV. There.
well, we'll see.
Have
We'll
fun
see.
today.
Yeah, you guys have a good one. All right. Are you guys still on?
Yeah.
Somebody jump
Yeah.
off?
Ethan did.
Here's something very important. Here's something very important. Now, this guy keeps Nick up at night. Like, this guy right here gives nightmares to Nick.
I thought that was Veronica.
Right there.
Tyler. R.I.P. R.I.P.
If it wasn't for that guy, Nick, you wouldn't have got destroyed.
Eh. You know, Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
Didn't want to
Well,
run the football.
I bet you're glad. I bet you're glad the Ohio State do games at noon this year instead of 7:30.
Oh, geez. I'm so glad we don't place any of these teams at night on the road.
There's the statue.
There's a
You guys see
statue.
the statue?
All right, Richard Dickhead. What is your
Richard Head here.
what's your prediction for this Purdue Fresno game here?
Oh man, I think Fresno's gonna upset actually.
Yeah.
So Coyle was saying that Card has a lot of Burrow characteristics. So that's pretty scary.
Hmm.
That is pretty frightening. So we'll see how that turns out. You know, week one, anything's possible. I'll tell you what, I'll go with without Jake Haver, that's a big loss for Fresno
Yeah.
State.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Fresno probably like 24, Purdue 17.
So 1-score game, okay. What do you think?
mean-
What do you think the key to victories are for each team here today for Purdue Fresno?
Card just going off and just doing Texas things.
Okay.
I mean, that's what's going to lead Purdue. I mean, dude, they lost. They lost everybody.
Lost their
They
coach.
They lost one of their best wide receivers in the history of the program. Those type of guys, Taylor Stubblefield. Those guys just don't walk through the door,
Yeah. What's the
Purdue always has a lot of good wide receivers, but I don't know. It's going to be a step back, Rondell Moore ain't walking through that door, You expect him to walk through that door, he's going to be gray and old. The best thing that Purdue can do is just work hard, That's all they can do. Work hard. All right, I got to find the ticket off. Where's the ticket off? All right, gentlemen. Well, let's see how to do this.
where's the ticket office?
All right. Yeah, we're gonna get these tickets and then we're gonna go inside. If I get signal, I'll call you back. If not, then
All right,
you
just
know,
yeah, join in
it is
if
what
you
it is.
can. Thanks for joining
But
us on your walk to the stadium.
I will give my upset pick of the week. I feel it's very
Okay.
important if people want to win money. Well, I'll give you two. I'll give you two upsets. So
Drink that beer first.
I would say I'm really big into the Dukies over the Tigers. So no one's thinking much of it because everyone's like, it's still common to goof on Duke football. Everybody wants to goof and Duke has a football team. Like, it's just a big, look at these broads. Look at these broads.
Oh, look at him. I like how he calls it broads.
Broads are making all kinds of noise. So, yeah, I mean, this joke about how it's not a football school is ridiculous. I mean, Drew will tell you what the motto is. I mean, this is Duke football. I mean, it's started by one of the greatest minds, David Cutcliffe, of our generation back in 08, and he turned that program around. And now they got Mike Elko. Mike Elko's amazing. He's going to be getting a Big Ten job here pretty soon unless Duke locks him down. So take the Dukies. I buy into the Dukies. I love the Dukies over Clemson. Plus, it's at Wallace Wade Stadium. So you got to take that. And second pick, I love the Rockets. I love UT against Villasuk. So let's see what we can do. We need a match and upset this weekend. And I feel like if we're going to get one, it's going to be UT. They're going to knock off Villasuk. So can't say much more about that.
First game of the year you're attending, first game of the season. What's the game day atmosphere like right now in West Lafayette?
Well, I'll tell you what. I was at the Vanderbilt Hawaii game last Saturday in Nashville. And it was pretty elite. I mean, it was pretty wild. So I just think there's more Purdue people here than I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know. I've been to a couple, even an Ohio State Purdue game years ago. I've never seen so many Purdue people.
All right.
I like it.
Shapes and sizes, you name it. They're out here. So yeah, I think they're ready. It'll be a close game. So I'm going to the night game as well. So we're going to probably stay 3.5 quarters, maybe. We're going to go eat at the Bryant, which is one of the best restaurants in West Lafayette.
Bryant,
and
okay.
We're going to head on over to Champaign for the game tonight. Be sitting 14, which is right in the center of where the horseshoe is in the front row. So we should be able to get on UTN. So
all right.
that is the game plan. So that's where I leave you.
All righty, buddy. Chug that beer, get your sideline pass, and if you got signal, join back in with us from the sideline.
Yep, I'll do my best to try and jump on for at least 5 minutes.
All righty, buddy. Take it easy. Thanks for joining us,
right.
Dick.
We'll see ya. All right, Richard Dick signing out.
All right. That was Dickhead.
Dickhead.
The Dickhead. He's a good guy.
Goes to a game every week.
Yeah. So yeah. That was Dickhead with the walk to the West Lafayette Purdue Stadium there on his on the game. Interesting walk that he took there, guys, don't you think?
Sounds like the Purdue faithful are showing up and pretty excited for the start of the season. That's good.
New coach, that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Purdue pulls it out.
I do too.
I think they rally around the crowd. I think Graham Harrell gets the offense moving a little bit.
Absolutely.
And like Dick said, I mean, losing Jake Haener is big for Fresno. If Jake Haener was in this game, I would definitely take Fresno. But not as big on Mikey Keene.
Not big on Mikey Keene, huh?
Not as big. I think he's pretty solid. I mean, they'll be a good Mountain West team, but they're not going to really compete against the Big Ten. I think it might be close, maybe like a 10, 14-point game.
Absolutely.
Like I said earlier, Nick, Purdue needs to win for the Big Ten.
I think Purdue does need to win for the Big Ten. Here I'm looking at the entire schedule for today, but I'm gonna filter on my ESPN here down to just the Big Ten. So let's run through our Big Ten matchups here for today. We got Michigan, number 2 Michigan hosting East Carolina. The number 25 Hawkeyes hosting Utah State. As we know, Purdue is hosting Fresno. The number 3 Buckeyes will travel to Bloomington to take on Indiana at Memorial Stadium. Number 19 Wisconsin hosts Buffalo at Camp Randall at 3:30. Maryland will host Towson there in College Park. And then the big primetime game here for the Big Ten will be West Virginia at number 7 Penn State at Beaver Stadium in University Park, Happy Valley, Pennsylvania. And then, as Richard said, one of the upsets to look for tonight would be the Rockets of Toledo traveling to Champaign to take on the Fighting Illini of Illinois at 7:30 on the Big Ten Network. Michigan will be on Peacock, so if you make sure if you don't have the Peacock subscription, you might, and you're a Michigan fan, want to watch that game, you're going to have to subscribe to that. Iowa will be on FS1. Purdue is going to be on the Big Ten Network. Indiana, Ohio State's on CBS. Fox Sports 1 will host Wisconsin Buffalo after the Iowa game. Big Ten Network will have Maryland on after Purdue. And then the Big Ten kicks off on their on NBC in prime time for the Penn State West Virginia game, and then Illinois is on Big Ten Network to close out the Big Ten here for today. We got some good matchups, for our teams here. I mean, I feel like Michigan's going to blow the doors off East Carolina.
I wish that this Michigan game was last year, because last year East Carolina was pretty solid.
Yeah.
And I was pretty high on them, but they lost, like, all their good guys are gone. So Michigan should just wipe the floor with them.
They have a lot of injuries. Michigan has a lot of injuries in the secondary, a lot of questionable guys. But I don't think it'll be a big, to be honest, I think it's going to be like a second quarter beat down, and it'll probably be up three or four touchdowns. They got off the bus wearing free Harbaugh t-shirts. so
unreal. So Harbaugh said those injuries aren't like the 6 months, injury type things. Has anything else came out regarding like the injuries to the 2 starting safeties and corners?
Well, they're both questionable today, so they're not even out. They're questionable to play. I know Rod Moore has I think a leg injury, and that to me, he's the bigger
concern.
Loss. Yeah, he's the bigger loss. He's one of the best safeties in the country, one of the best cover, tackle, does it all. So we'll see. I mean, again.
Did they disclose what the injuries are?
They have not.
Okay.
From what I've seen. So to me, it just seems like Michigan's offense is not going to have any problem scoring on that defense. And the defense can be solid for the first 2 quarters. They'll probably be up big enough that J.J. McCarthy, Donovan Edwards, Blake Corum, they're all on the bench.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
don't see any issues. I mean, for me, game day jitters, regardless of who we're playing.
Oh, I feel
I
you,
wanna.
man. It doesn't matter who
I
you
just.
play. You got the
That's
nerves.
right. Yeah, you
Ex-
just gotta.
Especially,
week one,
yeah,
anything can
especially
happen.
today. Yeah, exactly, Drew. It's like, especially today, it's just week one. Anything
Yeah.
can really happen. You don't know what, it's like, okay, we know what Michigan's about, but what are they about this? What is this team about? We know what they were about last year. We know what J.J. McCarthy can do. We know what Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards can do. I was going to say Blake Edwards because that's how I view them. I mean, they're on the field at the same time. You might as well just combine them into one person. But you see those guys. You know what they are about. You know what you know what they're about. But it's like still, it's like game one. What are we gonna look like?
Yeah. I think Utah State might hang with Iowa like the first half. I mean, we don't know what Iowa's going to look like, really, do we?
I don't think so.
I don't know if Cade McNamara's playing.
Cade.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Oh, sorry.
But...
1 hour ago, according to the source, is Adam Rittenberg from ESPN senior writer. Iowa quarterback Cade McNamara is set to make his Hawkeye debut Saturday against Utah State. That was reported at 10 a.m. this morning. Ferentz said, we are, and quoting Ferentz here, we are going to make sure he could play effectively and make sure he could play in a way that's representative of the type of player he is. So I'm not sure what that really means now that I say that out loud.
I mean, if he plays, I think it gives him a huge edge. I mean, just a game manager. I think Iowa will end up just rolling. But again, to me, it's not so much about like the score or winning. It's can their offense produce.
And I think one thing that Iowa hasn't had in a very long time has been a quarterback that's been able to push the ball downfield, right? And I think McNamara is a quarterback that has the potential and the capabilities of pushing the ball downfield in the passing game, airing it out a little bit and being active. So I think that's going to give them a jolt that they've honestly needed for a while, instead of these guys who are like, oh, I can make a 10-yard throw. Okay, well, great. So can that high school kid that we're recruiting next year, but can you make the 30-yard throw?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with Iowa. I think that if Cade comes out and plays, I think Iowa will be okay. I do agree with you, Drew, though. I do think Utah State's going to hang with them the first half. And then in the second half, Iowa shows Iowa Hawkeye football. Stout defense gets the best of Utah State.
How are you feeling about running 2 QBs against Indiana?
I
think it'll be good to see both of them.
I do too. I think for Ohio State, for us Buckeyes out there, you never want to have a QB battle, right, going into a year, right? Because you want consistency at that position, and I think that's a position you need consistency at, right? It's very hard to plug and play guys at quarterback, right? Throws the timing off basically of the offense. So, but what's going to be good about it is Buckeye Nation saw Kyle McCord in the spring game. We did not get to see Devin Brown. And I think that's where a lot of this a lot of this is coming from. And the jitters is, we know what Kyle McCord is. A lot of people think Devin Brown's a better option. So I think today is actually I think it's a good thing, really. I think it's a good thing to where you're going to see both guys play. And I think in an actual real game scenario, and you're not running 7-on-7s, 1v1s on practice, you're not in your scrimmage, your first team offense against your second team defense scrimmage, or, 1v, your first team versus first team scrimmages. So I think it's going to be good to see both of them play in an actual game, where
live reps.
Yep, live reps where you don't know what the opposing defense is going to do. You have to read that defense and make the best decisions. One thing I did see come out late last night, and I re-saw it this morning, was the high school coach of Marvin, Kyle McCord, said that McCord, he's ready for this type of, responsibilities and this pressure and all this stuff. Like, he's ready to step in and be the QB at Ohio State. And he said he's never seen in his tenure as a coach a quarterback wide receiver duo that has the chemistry that Marvin Kyle McCord have.
Okay. And that's kind of been like the long rumor, is that their chemistry will lead to McCord being number one.
Yeah. And I think and let's just be honest, if you're the coach, right, Corey, you know this. It's hard not to pick the guy who's been in your program the longest to be that starter day one. It's kind of hard not, unless the guy behind him shows you everything in practice that he's the guy, not him, right? So I think you do have to give Kyle the start today. What I would really like to see, to be honest, is I would like to see Kyle play the entire first half of the game, and then Devin Brown come out and play the second half. And with that being said, let's just scenario out there, if Kyle McCord goes out there and plays phenomenally, you're up 35-7, let's say, right, at the end of the half. I would hope coming out into halftime, if Devin Brown's going to play the entire second half, you run the same offense, so that way you could see truly who is a better, quarterback for your team. Because, if you just let Devin Brown go out there and run a 4-minute offense, you're not really seeing what he can do.
Yeah. It depends. It depends for me. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it. Obviously, first half, second half. I mean, almost to get the best thing, you almost would rather have Devin Brown start game 2 with all the starters to see what he's got with the offense at that point with the starters. But it's a very
touchy thing.
And it's a touchy thing. I mean, coming from Michigan last year, we had 2 quarterbacks. It was Cade was going to start, and then it was going to be JJ the week 2. And JJ never gave the job back. Cade got hurt and transferred. So it's a very, and it was kind of a scary situation last year for Michigan, because it was one of those things where it's like, if JJ goes down, you don't have Cade. You don't have the backup of what it was.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it's like, McCord has been there. We always thought McCord was probably going to be the starter. But it's one of those things where it's like, if Devin Brown plays better and Devin Brown becomes the starter for week 2, what does that do to McCord's psyche?
Mm-hmm.
Because at any moment, the starter, one play, gets his ankle rolled, can't go for the rest of the game. You need Kyle McCord. So it's a thing where you need both quarterbacks. And I mean, yeah, you can't teach that they've been playing football together for a long time. They went to the same high school and played,
won a couple
together and whatever.
They won a couple state titles.
You can't teach that. But let's be honest. That's not the reason. That's not going to be the reason why he's the starter. Because anybody can throw the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. Anybody can throw the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. It's going to be, can Kyle McCord incorporate the other guys? Because on third down, he's going to go to Marvin Harrison Jr. And if he knows that, the coach knows that, the opposition coach knows that, their corners know that. So it's going to be, can you make the right read when it's needed and not just assume you can have Marvin Harrison make a play? It'll work today against Indiana, but when you play Penn State, Michigan State, Iowa, Wisconsin, those teams, they're going to know that he's going to want to throw to Marvin Harrison Jr. And it's going to be, can he make the throw to the other guys? Not that saying that anybody's a slouch. Anybody can make a play on that offense.
Right.
But I don't want to say like, oh, they don't have, Devin Brown doesn't have that chemistry, because I could throw the ball up to Marvin Harrison Jr. and he would catch it. So it's one of those things where it's to me, it's who's the right guy for the job. Pick your guy, stay with him, and ride it out. It's you can't have he's not playing good, I'm putting Devin Brown in next series. Oh, he didn't have a good series, I'm putting Kyle McCord in.
You're not wrong.
So,
Yeah.
and that's my last word on it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
all I got.
Yeah.
I also think it depends on, when the plays break down, who's moving the offense forward. Like if it's a broken play, are we, or is the quarterback, like on if your options aren't there, are you still there? Corey, did you leave us?
Looks that way.
Huh.
Is he on his phone? Maybe his phone died or something.
Oh, he just said he's gonna have to drop off in a few minutes. He has to take care of something, and he'll jump back in about 20 to 30. Oh, his shit died.
Huh.
But I just think I also think of like the rushing ability of the quarterback too could play a big part in who you choose going forward out of Kyle McCord and Devin Brown.
Yeah.
But I'm more, to be honest, and here's the thing that like I've been feeling and I've thought for leading up to this game. What Ryan Day took a first-year starter, Justin Fields, right?
Mm-hmm.
We went undefeated in his first year, went to the college football playoff. Then next year was the COVID year, so whatever, you want to talk about that. And then the following year, right. So then the following year, 2021, you have CJ Stroud, Big Ten quarterback of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Next 2022 Big Ten quarterback of the year. You had even then you go back to Dwayne Haskins. Even though Ryan wasn't the head coach, he was the quarterback coach for Dwayne Haskins, and you saw what Dwayne did in his first year in that offense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like what I just don't understand is, and what I'm getting at is, I don't understand the reservations on Ryan Day getting one of these guys ready to start.
Yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think Ohio State's at a plug and play. Like they're at that level where you just plug and play. Like all these quarterbacks are high recruits. They know how to play.
They've played in big games before.
Yeah. And even if they aren't that great, they have great playmakers around them to help them cover their weaknesses.
Oh, and let me tell you, if we did not have the talent at wide receiver, we did not have the talent at running back, you would have saw CJ get exposed.
Yeah, I think so.
And like to your point, that's exactly what it is. CJ wasn't really the best QB, but
he was fine.
He did his job.
You can win with a fine quarterback as long as you've got dogs around him.
Yeah, and case in point, and I've said this before, AJ McCarron was not a good quarterback. I mean, he was not like a Vince Young. He was not a high guy like that. You were just like, oh my god, AJ McCarron, #1 draft pick, right?
Yeah, no, I
won 3 national titles.
Yeah, McCarron, Stetson Bennett, Greg McElroy, like
Mac Jones.
You don't need a great quarterback in college football. You just need a good one.
And you need a guy who can game manage the offense, basically. And I think a lot
don't turn the ball over.
And what CJ didn't do all year, but he did against Georgia in the playoff, was if the defense gives you the 5-7 yards on the ground, run, get those 5-7 yards. Don't sit at 2nd and 10. Get to 2nd and 3 if that's the case. You know what I mean? Or on those 3rd and 5s, if everybody's covered, just take off for those 5 yards, get the first down, keep the chains moving.
I think about the old NCAA football games. Lee Corso used to always say it: take what the defense will give you. If that's 3-4 yards, take it.
And that's all. And really, that's all the offense. That's all being a quarterback is. Reading the defense, seeing and taking what they give you. Oh, okay. You're going to let me nickel and dime you all the way down the field? Sure, why not? I'll do that.
I mean, Tom Brady was great, right? He never threw deep balls or did anything crazy.
Except for 1 year when he had Randy Moss, but...
Well, when you have Randy Moss, you just toss the ball up.
You just throw it in his general direction and tell him to chase after it, right?
That's it.
But you're exactly right, though. Like, Tom Brady wasn't even that great at throwing the deep ball. I mean, they said Peyton Manning, his worst thing coming out of college was he can't throw the deep ball.
You don't always need it. Maybe 1 or 2, 3 deep balls a game.
Or
just to keep the defense honest.
And this playing Madden and NCAA, if you're running those things and you got your receiver 1-on-1 and he has maybe a step or 2 on the corner and you hit him in stride, he's gone. You don't need to hit him for 40 yards downfield, hit him 20 in stride and he's gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think going into this game, that's what we really want to see. We just want to see how well these two play. More, to be honest, as an Ohio State fan, what I'm more intrigued to see is not Kyle McCord or Devin Brown quarterback battle. I'm more concerned about our defense. Did Jim Knowles reflect enough in the offseason? And did he make the necessary adjustments?
Yeah, and I think specifically I'm going to be watching the secondary because the line is sick. The linebackers are sick. The front seven should be fine, right? I think the question mark is in the secondary.
Yep. One player to watch out for today against Indiana, he's going to be a big one, is going to be Sonny Styles Jr. That kid is... they're comparing it, I don't know if there's a comparison being thrown out there, but I've just heard this kid is sick. Just absolutely disgusting nasty. You know what I mean? They said has the linebacker body, but can cover like he's a corner. Plays physical like a linebacker, but can drop back in coverage.
Yeah, dude, he's 6'4", 215.
Yeah,
playing safety. Good God.
He's basically he has a linebacker body and the physicality of a linebacker, but as a safety.
That's scary.
Yeah, that's real scary. So like you said, and that's who I'm watching too, as I'm watching the secondary. Lathan Ransom, Sonny Styles Jr., Proctor. That's what I'm interested to see too,
For sure.
But but then again, it's it's Indiana, right?
Yeah.
We should be our guys should look stellar against them.
Yeah. I'm not high on this Indiana team at all.
No.
So.
That's my my little 2 cents about Ohio State Indiana today. For another game that I'm really interested in watching, even though it's against an inferior opponent, I'm really excited to see what Wisconsin looks like under Luke Fickell. See what those guys are gonna what the Badgers look like. And then of course Penn State. You're in a big game. This is a big game for James Franklin.
Yeah, it's a big game for West Virginia, for Neil Brown. I'm sure those players are going to be up. Everyone's been talking shit about West Virginia all off season. I'm sure those boys have heard it. I'm sure it's eating at them. So I'm sure they're going to be up. I just don't know if they have the talent level to win in Penn State.
Yeah, it's Happy Valley is a real tough place to go to.
Yeah,
and get a win.
Yeah, I would feel if I were a West Virginia fan, I would feel a lot better if it were at home because Morgantown is also a tough place to play.
Dude.
But I mean,
Morgantown rocks at night. That stadium looks sweet at night.
It's awesome, dude. I've only been there once, Oklahoma State versus West Virginia, and it was like the second week of November, and it was a blizzard.
Oh, wow.
It was awesome. We only stayed for like 3 quarters because it was freezing, but it's a great place.
Yeah,
and
I almost went there
for
college. I almost went to WVU for
Really?
college. I got accepted, yeah.
Oh, nice.
But I chose Toledo because, in-state tuition was cheaper than going out of state.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, I got accepted into WVU, and I was actually contemplating, having them there. So
I don't know, the cool place that I got accepted was Syracuse. Yeah, because that's my favorite basketball team.
Yeah.
So I just like sent all my scores to them, and they accepted me. But fuck, that place costs an insane amount, especially out of state.
The one college Corey and I both applied to, I wish he was here because this was awesome that we did this. We both applied to the University of Hawaii. Got
Nice.
in. You know what their out-of-state tuition, like room and board, cost a year back in 2008 when we were going? $8,000.
Just for room and board?
Yeah, well, room, board, and your tuition
Okay.
was like $10,000 for out-of-state. It was like so cheap
Damn, dude.
because they wanted people to go there. I mean, it's Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like, you got to fly out there. You got to do all this stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's not cheap living out there.
No, but
so
it would have been awesome. Like, we were like,
That
dude,
would
let's
be
go to
fun.
Hawaii. The sports teams suck. We'll just like study out on the beach all the time. Like, you don't get, like, you're not going to be like, oh, let's go to the football game this Saturday. Oh, never mind. Like, we don't even play at home this Saturday because we're in the middle of the ocean.
yeah, that would have been fun.
Dude, that would have been yeah. I was going to go to Hawaii, and then my mom and dad were like, just so you know, if you go to Hawaii, you're coming home at Christmas, and that's it. Like, you're coming home Christmas, and then at the end of the school, because we can't afford the plane tickets, for
dude.
Thanksgiving, Easter, and all that. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I guess I'll just stay in Ohio then.
Guess I'll just go home whenever I want.
Yeah, I guess I'll just go to Toledo and be 2 hours away.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which that would have been a really dope school to go to, I feel. I'm going to talk about this Penn State West Virginia game though, Drew. More on the Penn State side of things. What do you think? Okay, so one question I have, if Penn State loses this game, okay, Penn State loses, does James Franklin have, does James Franklin move more towards that hot seat? Or, is his seat going to be, on fire if he loses this game?
Not necessarily. I think the Penn State faithful will be like, what the hell are you doing losing to West Virginia?
Right.
And the national perspective will probably be the same because the national perspective on West Virginia is not good. But I don't think it's immediate hot seat because it is still week 1. I mean, he hasn't had a losing season yet.
No. I mean, and then...
But it will be like, what are you doing losing to West Virginia, bro?
Right. Well, and my thought process on that was if he loses to West Virginia tonight, you still have to play Michigan, you still have to play Ohio State. Um, the rest of your schedule plays out favorably for you because you don't really have any good, tough teams left.
Yeah,
Like
it's
you
not too
avoid
tough.
Wisconsin, you avoid Nebraska, you avoid some of these teams, right? Like you don't play Minnesota. Like you draw Northwestern, Iowa, and that's it from that other
Yeah.
side, or in Illinois.
You get Iowa at home. That's good.
Right. Right. And so when I look at that, it's like you go to Ohio State and you host Michigan. Well, if you're 9-3, does is the administration like, hey James, good work, but you're not the guy who's going to get us over that hump back into the playoff or conference championship seed.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel like the university is down on James Franklin from an outside perspective.
Okay.
But there's a universe where I can see them starting 1-2, losing to West Virginia, beating Delaware, and then losing at Illinois. And I think if that were the case, there'd be even more what the hell's going on here.
Is James Franklin the guy?
Yeah, there will definitely start being some questions asked. But then, like, where do you go from James Franklin? Like,
who do you get that's better?
Yeah, because you're not going to fire a guy unless you can hire someone who's better than that guy. And probably a good bit, but how many coaches that are better than James Franklin would want to go to Penn State? Most of those, I assume most of the head coaches that are better than James Franklin are already at pretty good situations. And I don't know how great of a situation Penn State is.
Yeah. I'll say this though. James Franklin, and I think a lot of the universities backing behind him and not wanting to move off Franklin or anything, especially, after the consecutive losses to Michigan, Ohio State, pretty much since 2017 or 2016 when they went to the Big Ten championship game.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it, I think a lot of that goes back to when they got sanctioned after the whole Jerry Sandusky stuff. When they lost a lot of scholarships, they were on a 4-year bowl ban, postseason ban. So I think like a lot of that has to do with James Franklin came into a literally shitty situation.
Yeah.
Lost a bunch of scholarships, couldn't go to postseason, lost, that kind of thing in recruiting. Lost on some big recruits over those years, during that time period that could have helped build your program, further than what it currently is at now. So I feel like a lot of their like feelings kind of in Penn State is he brought us back from a potential death year.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think post Joe Pa, it was Bill O'Brien was the head coach, and then it was Franklin. So like Bill O'Brien was right in between the two.
I think so. You think you're right.
Because I just remember Bill O'Brien being a failure at Penn State.
Yeah, I'm getting that pulled up now. Don't know any of those guys. So Joe Paterno left in 2011. And then they had the interim Tom Bradley in 2011. Bill O'Brien came in 2012, 2014. And then James Franklin took over from 2014 till now.
Okay. Maybe the failure of Bill O'Brien kind of still weighs on the university. Like, hey, remember that one time we fucked up and hired Bill O'Brien?
which is kind of crazy actually. I mean, when you look at this, like, and I know like you can't really compare these and I hate doing this when like they don't have like similar tenures or whatever, right? But Bill O'Brien's two years, he was 24 and 15. Sorry, he was 15 and 9. He coached 24 games, so he's 15 and 9 and had a 62% win percentage, where James Franklin is 78 and 36 and has a 62%. So I mean, they're pretty much even in that aspect. I don't really like that just because it's like,
Yeah. Comparing 2 years to
7,
10, whatever.
10, yeah. Like you're at 9, 10 now, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to find out when they got sanctioned, when the sanctions came down. July, so 2012. So yeah, and that was a 4-year ban. So when you look at it, they got that in 2012. So Bill O'Brien was there for 2 years, probably saw the writing on the wall, like, oh crap, like this isn't gonna go very well. Because didn't Bill O'Brien, he jumped to the Texans. Remember he left Penn State after the 2013 season and went to the Texans in 2014. And now is an executive of the Houston Texans. But so it's like, I get what they're, James Franklin held them above water. He kept them treading water during that time. And after, I mean, you'll look at it, the first year that they were bowl eligible, they went to the Big Ten championship game and won.
Yeah. Back-to-back 11-win seasons.
Yeah, because he went 10-2 that year in the regular season, 10-2 in 2017. Then they lost they probably didn't have Saquon that game. And then he went 9-4 the next year with Saquon Barkley. That's another thing. It's like, man, when you had Saquon there and you go 9-4, it's like, dude, how do you squander that at that running back? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
What you looking at there?
So the 9-4 season, their losses, they lost to Ohio State by 1 point.
Was that solid. That was probably the year.
Number 4, Ohio State.
That was the year Sam Hubbard tackled Saquon and McSorley in the backfield together.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Not specifically, no.
It was I think
he was trying to hand it off or something.
Yeah, was it McSorley? It was one of those Mick guys that he had there. I think it was. I can't remember if McSorley
I think it would have been McSorley.
I think it was him. Well, he's trying to hand the ball off like on an option to, like the read option to Saquon, and Sam Hubbard just bear hugs both of them. It's like, nope, sorry, I don't know which one of you has the ball right now, so I'm just gonna tackle you both.
Yeah, that's a smart play.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Okay, so the 1 point loss to Michigan, or the 1 point loss to Ohio State. The next week they lost to Michigan State by 4. And then
that was 2019, right?
2018.
2018.
And then their third loss was they got slaughtered by Michigan 42-7. And then they lost the bowl game by 3. So 3 1-score losses and one atrocious loss. So it could have been a lot worse, but
Wow, they got
Just-
thumped that year by Michigan.
that seems to be the James Franklin thing, is that he just can't win the big games. Like, he wins the games he's supposed to, but he just can't get over the hump. The Ohio
Yeah.
State, the Michigans he'll
That's-
probably have troubles with USC.
Oh, he'll definitely have. Well,
He'll probably have troubles with Oregon.
the key to those teams is just play solid defense.
Which they can do,
Yeah.
but eventually they're gonna adjust. I think Lincoln Riley will have that team adjusted pretty quick. Just will they play defense?
That's that's a very, very good that's a very good point. Will they play defense? And I think so. Speaking about that, I mean, I really do think it. Yeah, by the way, that was Trace McSorley.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I did. I just found that. That's like it's just like a thing, like, and I think that's where a lot of James Franklin's woes come from, is you're not winning the big games that we need you to win.
Yeah. I think that's why the national perception is kind of down on him, because he loses all the nationally televised games. But he wins the games he's supposed to typically.
Yeah.
But it's, you can only put up with that for so long.
And that's what I'm feeling like this year. Like it's almost like. But then again, it's like, does Penn State say, okay, this is the last year of the 4-team playoff? Yes, our conference is expanding to 18 teams now next year. We should probably give them a chance, because now there's 8 more teams who can make the playoffs. Are we going to be one of those 8 teams?
Yeah. And if after 2 years of an expanded playoff, Penn State is not in the playoff, at that time I would be like, all right, well, we've had 2 years of 12 teams getting in, and you can't put together a top 12 performance. Where it might have to move. But I think the expanded playoff is going to help him.
Yeah, I do too. I think the expansion is going to actually help a lot of teams. A lot of coaches keep their jobs at these schools.
Mm-hmm.
And we as fans too, let's just be honest, man. Us fans, we got to realize something too. One team can only win the title every year.
Mm-hmm.
Only one team's going to be crowned national champion, But on the other hand of that is, I think it's more or less now, are you making the playoff? Are you giving your program a chance to be in the playoff? Are you in the playoff? Because that gives you a chance to get to that natty,
Mm. Yeah, it's gonna mean more if you miss the playoffs. Now that there's 12 spots, what do you mean you can't get in the top 12?
Exactly.
It's gonna cost a couple coaches their jobs.
Exactly, because it's easier now to make the playoffs, quote unquote.
Yeah, expectation is higher because 12 people make the playoff.
Like for Ohio State, like, let's just be honest, these past 20 years, there's been 4 seasons where Ohio State has not been ranked in the top 12. 4 years.
But if
you know what I'm saying, like,
if after let's say 2 years of the playoff go by and Ohio State misses the playoff both years, that's Ryan Day.
1000%.
Even if he beats Michigan, whatever. beat Michigan,
that's tough.
but not make the playoff. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
See,
though.
that's tough because it's just because it's Ohio State, Michigan. You know what I mean? Like in Columbus,
it means more.
It means more to beat them than it would be.
Yeah.
Like, we were 8-4 this year. That's okay. We beat Michigan. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of like
that's okay for a year.
Yeah.
If you do that back to back, we got some problems.
Then we have some real hardcore issues. And I
don't think that'll be the case.
No, I don't think so either. I do think though that like when we are talking about like this expansion though, like I feel like the guys, why isn't Dave allowed to why isn't Dick able to rejoin?
Mm-hmm. ACC stands for athletically can't compete.
Athletically can't compete.
Jeez. A lot of Jesus signs at game day.
Is that what's happening? I'm watching Big Noon Kickoff. I like Big Noon Kickoff better.
I can't stand that Urban Meyer guy.
I met Urban after the Iowa game last year.
Did you watch the Florida documentary?
I did not. I watched the first episode and I had to turn it off. Because I saw the writing on the wall, and then I've heard, then I've seen like reactions to it and stuff. And for an untold story, they sure as hell left out a lot of different things.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I've just heard reviews on it, and everyone was kind of like, they didn't really talk about anything. It was kind of a PR fluff piece.
Yeah.
Seems like a waste of time. That's a shame.
Yeah,
the road.
Yeah, I'm not very sure. It's just I don't know, man.
Who you taking in Toledo versus Illinois?
I'm going to take the Fighting Illini.
I agree.
I'm going to take the Fighting Illini. I think they are probably set up. I like the way they are built on their defense. I like the way their defense is built. I mean, like, let's just like, and when I look back, like, when I'm thinking of Illinois, I look back at what they did against Michigan. If they had that much more, like that much more talent on their offensive side of the football, they probably would have beat Michigan last year.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe just a little more juice on the offense.
A little more juice.
A little more juice.
Please don't make me have PTSD.
Bring the juice back.
Man, I was telling Chelsea, speaking of Juice Williams-Drew, man, I was telling Chelsea, I was like, my cousin took me to my first ever Ohio State game, the 2007 Illinois game that we lost, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I didn't know it at that time, but looking back at it, that was the day I fell in love with the game day atmosphere. Even though it was in a loss, it was like that was my first time being at the shoe for like a game. We were ranked number 1, all that stuff. And it was just like, when you first experience something like that for the team that you root for, that you love, it just set me over the edge.
Oh yeah, I understand. Live, it's better live. Like being with the other fans. I don't know, dude.
High fiving,
yeah, dude, just chirping it up with people you don't know.
let's talk
Celebrating
about
with people you don't know.
like right before here. We got like a couple minutes left before this it kicks off here. TCU Colorado are kicking off soon. But you and I went to the 2016 Michigan game. You and I were at Ohio State Michigan 2016 double overtime. When you're like
Yeah, dude.
when you were talking about that, like being with the other fans, like do you remember just like high fiving, like doing whatever to like the random people that were around you? You would never see those guys again, but for that moment, we were all like a family, you know.
Mm.
And I feel like that's it, and I'm not saying that's just how Ohio State atmosphere is. That's how college football atmosphere is. Every stadium you go to.
Yeah, for the most part. And that's the beauty of the sport.
Like you could go to any game and you're rooting for like you're around like other like if you're a Michigan fan, you go to your first Michigan game, regardless of who it's against, you're around those guys, you're high-fiving people you've never met in your life. A random guy, hey, I'm making a beer run, you need you need a beer?
Yeah,
because that happened to you and I
it
when we were at
happens.
the Michigan game. It's like,
Yeah.
don't know these guys here. Yeah, here's my money. Go get me a beer. He comes back 10 minutes, 20 minutes later with your beer.
Yeah, fans helping fans.
Fans, exactly. And that's the one thing I just love about college football.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Beauty. I think I don't think we should have any neutral site games.
No.
I
God,
think
these
all
neutral
games should be
sites.
on campus, except conference titles. I understand conference titles, but
Absolutely.
like all these,
Like who played it? Who played
who
last
was that?
night at a
Louisville and G Tech.
Yeah,
You
played
should have
at
played at G Tech, dude.
Why are you playing that game out?
Especially that game. I mean, I'm sorry, but Georgia Tech football hasn't been good in 80 years.
Well, then too, it's like, we're sitting here, and it's like I was watching Notre Dame face Navy in Dublin, Ireland. Like,
Yeah, what
what are
why?
we doing? This isn't the NFL.
No. Why? We're not expanding to other countries. Like,
We don't even allow Canadians to play us in college football. Like,
right? You won't even let the University of Toronto in. Come on.
and we're gonna go over to play in Dublin. Like, I get it. You're the Fighting Irish. You're going to Ireland. I get that aspect of it, but I would be very interested to know how many actual Notre Dame fans left the United States and flew to Dublin for that game.
Yeah, true. Oh, and this brings up a point. Cal and Stanford joining the ACC. I feel bad for some of the students or some of the athletes because how many times are your friends and family going to actually get to see you play your sport live? Like Stanford and Cal, all their games are going to be on the East Coast. The fans aren't going to travel for those programs. Those programs aren't.
They're not
going to travel for football. They'll travel for swimming and all that other stuff.
They don't travel well for football.
No, not at all. And so it blows my mind that they joined the ACC. SMU makes more sense to me because that's not too far. That's just Dallas. But like, what? Cal and Stanford, what the fuck are you doing?
Why are you that? And it's like when Cal and Stanford, it's like you guys don't even travel well within your own state to opposing games.
No, you can't even make it up to Oregon or Washington or over to Arizona.
Fuck that. You barely traveled to LA.
You could barely make that, I don't even know, 5-6 hour drive.
Right. You don't even make that drive to go to watch your team play in LA at the Coliseum or the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, and that's a rivalry. UCLA and Cal, and maybe USC Cal, those are big rivalries.
Yeah.
So.
And you're not, you don't travel to those, like you guys, your fans don't travel in state. What? Okay,
Yikes.
let's get past the traveling in state. In recent years, at least for Stanford, since Harbaugh left and Andrew Luck and all those guys left, you haven't even filled your own damn stadium.
No.
And you're gonna go travel out to the north. You're gonna travel to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. And on the other end, a lot of these teams that travel out to you aren't going to bring that many fans because it's just, oh, it's Cal. Oh, it's Stanford. Like, it's not a big game unless those teams elevate, which I don't know if they will. But
And I don't think they will either. And then another thing that I heard was another good point was, okay, so you bring in Cal, Stanford, and on the flip side of that, your two biggest name teams in your conference, Clemson and Florida State, are looking at leaving to go to the SEC. It's like, did you give Florida State and Clemson a reason now to stay? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah.
I mean, and I could see Clemson traveling out to California, but like not to play Cal or Stanford. I could have, like, if they would have poked USC from the Pac-12 to the ACC. Oh yeah, I could see Clemson fans going out there every year, or every time they play.
Yeah, big brands. Cal is not a big brand at all, and Stanford is only a big brand for Olympic sports.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Cal wasn't even a brand when Aaron Rodgers was there.
Yeah,
they
had A-Rod and Marshawn Lynch, and still that's just Cal.
Right, you weren't scared of them.
No.
What do you think is the end game now for the Pac-12 or the Tupac now? Because they're down to 2. Do you think the Pac-12 goes by the wayside, or do you think they merge, like these two teams merge and create the Pac thing?
Pac Mountain West.
Yeah, a Pac Mountain West.
I think if I were the Pac-12, I would try to elevate because the Pac-12 brand is much bigger than the Mountain West brand. So you don't want to lose that Pac-12 branding. That's what you don't want to lose. And there's definitely some teams in the Mountain West that could elevate, like Boise, Easy, San Diego State, Fresno State, even Colorado State. Like there's UNLV. I know they're dog shit, but they are the Las Vegas market. So like that's appealing to TV networks or whoever. But I don't know, dude. I just elevate the Mountain West and try and save it. It's not going to be a power conference no matter what. Its power is gone. Hawaii, put Hawaii in there.
Is BYU
Big 12?
They're the Big 12 now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like when I'm looking at like their list, the one thing that I would have loved to see is Boise State make that jump.
Mm-hmm.
So when Boise State left, so they joined the Mountain West in 2011. So when they left their previous conference, right? When they left the Southland Conference, when they left the Southland to join the Mountain West, that's when they should have joined the Pac-12. They should have joined the Pac-12 then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from what I've heard,
because that was right after like the Kellen Moore era.
Oh yeah,
you had like all those guys. You know what I mean? Like that was a big small school brand that you could have brought in at that time.
Oh, definitely. I think from what I've heard, it wasn't the reason they haven't made the step up yet is more so on like academics and like revenue building or like making money, because it is just Boise, Idaho. Like, I mean, the market isn't anything worth anything, but as far as a football program, I think they're a Power 5 football program. I think they've been one for quite a while. I just don't know enough about like the school.
And what their like objectives are, what their mission statement is, that type of stuff. Yeah, I agree with
and
you.
like where they rank academically, where they rank money wise, enrollment wise. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because all that shit matters to the media, the people in charge of college football, the TV rights people.
It does. And I think that's why like the Big Ten, Ohio State and Michigan kind of forced the Big Ten's hand. Because they are now the Big Ten requires if you want to join the conference, you have to join the AAU colleges. Like you have to become an AAU college, which now for people listening, that is not AAU sports, like high school sports, like where these kids are playing AAU basketball and all that stuff. This is academics. This is based AAU universities have a free flowing of science information. They work together. Yes, they work exactly.
The all research schools.
Yep, they all work together too. So like Ohio State shares their research with Michigan. Michigan shares their research with Ohio State, Nebraska. All of our Big Ten teams share their research information for those types of things, which is amazing. But then that's why we have to bring in some of these schools.
And it's crazy. We brought in Nebraska, and then a year or two later, they lost their AAU membership. They're the only team that is not in the AAU currently. Who? Nebraska.
Oh, that's right. They lost
it. Because they got it to join the Big Ten, and then immediately lost it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's weird.
That's a very interesting.
They just wanted to get out of the Big 12. Which is at that time, I guess, but
it's
fuck off back to the Big 12.
I think Nebraska should. If I'm being honest, if we were going to lose one, there's two schools that I would not mind the Big Ten losing. Nebraska and Rutgers.
Yeah.
Rutgers, go back to just go to the ACC. Nebraska, go back to the Big 12, and let's get down to 16 teams.
Yeah. Whenever I'm doing conference realignment on NCAA 14, I always kick out Maryland and Rutgers. And I'll usually flip like Nebraska for Iowa State. Okay. I think Iowa State should be in the Big Ten.
That's another one that I don't understand. Like, you have a good in-state rivalry with Iowa there. You should have brought them too.
They're closer than Nebraska is to everyone else.
And they're closer than Rutgers is in Maryland. To the majority of our teams.
Rutgers and Maryland are ACC schools.
Drew, if these conference realignments are starting to get out of hand, do you think it's time that maybe we say F conferences and just say, and the NCAA says, screw this. This is getting way out of hand. We have it's basically these two conferences competing against each other. Let's divvy up everybody into 4 different regions. You play a round robin in your region. The top 4 go to a 14 playoff.
Yeah, I do think eventually we'll get to we'll basically get to the NFL.
I think that's what it's coming to.
And I think that's funny because we're going to revert back to regionality. Like, why are we getting away from regionality to begin with? Because money.
And I think sorry, I'm watching the TCU Colorado game.
I can see it right behind you.
Yeah. Well, I'm watching it on my YouTube
Nice.
TV here on my computer too. So the opening kickoff when you were talking and I started laughing, it was because TCU's kickoff returner ran straight into the back of one of his blockers and was like did like the whole Madden thing like that, and TCU just went 3-and-out. We have Colorado looking great on their first possession under Coach Prime. They are at TCU's 35-yard line for now a 2nd and 10 with a flag on the play. It's just I think and I think you're right, dude. I think the end game is going to be back to an NFL format where you're going to have 2 conferences essentially, but then you're going to be broken into divisions, and your divisions are going to be regional. And it's going to be like, well, why did we get away from that to begin with?
Exactly.
And a big piece of it, I feel, too, was for a lot of our Big Ten teams, the sexiness of having USC, UCLA join us from LA. The sexiness of LA appealed to the Big Ten, and they said this could be a way for our top teams, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, to get a pipeline into California and recruit some of those players, because now they because now their parents aren't like, well, we're never going to see you play because you play all on the East Coast. Oh no, we could see you play a couple times a year now.
Yeah, we can see you play twice in LA, maybe go up to Oregon.
Yeah. And now we can, and now on the flip side of that, let's just be honest, like, if you're a California kid and you're coming to Ohio State anyways, like before this conference realignment happened, your parents are probably wealthy enough for them to travel to these games.
Yeah, probably.
Or quote unquote relocate temporarily during football season, Because like, I'm just gonna look it up here. I forget where he's from.
I got some quick updates.
Yeah.
Purdue game.
Okay.
First drive, Fresno went 3-and-out. First Purdue drive, third play, 84-yard touchdown pass from Hudson Card to Deion Banks, put the Boilers up 7-0.
Nice.
And then in the Iowa game, Iowa's second play of the game was a 36-yard TD pass from Cade McNamara.
See, I told you, Cade is going to give that like I said earlier, right? I said Cade's going to give them the ability to push the ball down the field, and that's a good thing.
That's probably the longest touchdown play they've had
in 5 years.
A year or two. Yeah, probably.
Like 5 years.
Probably.
Oh, Colorado is knocking on the door, 3rd and 1 here in the red zone. Their current drive is 10 plays, 58 yards. Sanders is 5 of 7 for 33 yards passing so far for Colorado. First down for Colorado inside the 10, down at the 6. But back to what we were saying, Drew, I looked this up because he's a guy that I can personally relate to in this. JT Tuimoloau is from Edgewood, Washington. Okay? So, like, I was saying, like, parents traveled and all that stuff. Like, if you're coming out here and you're on the West Coast, your parents probably can afford that. I've been to a lot of games since JTT has been here, okay? And every single home game, I run into his mother, his father, and his siblings.
Nice.
And I'm not lying. I've met them all on multiple occasions. I got my JTT jersey signed by him at the end of the Iowa game last year. And he even said, he goes, hey, man, like, my mom recognizes you. Like, it's, like, and all this stuff. Yeah, type deal. And it was just like, he's like, and I gave him one of my Buckeye necklaces that I had on and all this stuff. And it was like, it was just a pretty cool interaction that, like, he goes, yeah, my family remembers you. Like, they recognize who you are. And it's like, So, and the only reason I want to bring that up is because he is one of those guys who went from the West Coast out here, and his parents do travel to all those games, you know. So it's, I don't think, I don't think that's going to be a big worry as much as it once was, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
And especially now with NIL the way it is. You know what I'm saying? Like NIL, like JTT can make millions of dollars. Oh, hey, mom, dad, touchdown, Colorado. But you know what I'm saying? Like with NIL now, JTT signs. He has a NIL deal with Lululemon. It's like that. Oh, hey, mom, dad. Oh, you guys can't come out. Oh, don't worry, I got you. I made $1 million. You know, I got $1 million NIL deal. Let me pay for your flight out here this game.
Yeah.
And we know this. All these players, they get like 4 free tickets to every single game for their family that sit in those club lounges, you know, the family sections.
Yeah, true.
Not only that, but I feel like, and you tell me if I'm wrong in this take, but the money, the TV deals that the Big Ten is getting right now, how you're going to sit here and tell me the university isn't going to, you know, the program isn't going to push out some money to bring some of these kids' parents to these games?
Probably, yeah. The upper echelon players.
Oh, I mean, you're not definitely your third string linebacker, you know, who doesn't even see the field. You're definitely not flying his parents from Florida up
for
here
no reason.
Like, for no reason,
stand on the sideline.
Right? But like, you know, if you're JTT and your mom and dad are like, yeah, we just can't, you know, we can't afford the ticket this week. Sorry, bud. I'm sure the university's like, hey, JTT, don't worry about it. We've emailed your parents plane tickets already, boarding passes. Like, oh man, what you looking at?
The Colorado TCU. That was a 13-play drive.
Yep, capped off by a touchdown from
Shadir.
From what's his name? Sanders. College Game Day still on ESPN? No, it's not. This is Arkansas OU. Arkansas State, Oklahoma. Oh, come on. That's not a late hit out of bounds. Oh, the guy ran into him. They just called a personal foul on Oklahoma for a late hit out of bounds. And it literally looked like a guy bouncing off the ropes and getting that little shoulder clothesline. You know what I mean? Just
yeah.
That's what it looked like. It's like, come on, you're gonna call that a personal? You're gonna call that a unnecessary roughness? Get out of here. Goldberg will show you some unnecessary roughness. You look deep in thought here, Drew.
No. It's just nothing going on right now.
Yeah.
Every game just started, so nothing's happening.
Yeah. I'm just excited. Dude, I'm just so excited that college football is finally back. Like,
yeah.
It's just so exciting. I love it's just so, like, this is also, Oklahoma's up 14-0, by the way, and they've only played 4 minutes of their game so far.
Poor Butch Jones.
Is he the Arkansas State guy, head
coach? Yeah. I've seen he might be on the hot seat. I think this is year 3.
Turning on the Tennessee-Virginia game now. Now, Tennessee's quarterback, correct me if I'm wrong, that's Joe Milton, correct? Former
sir.
Michigan quarterback.
Yes, sir. Big arm.
Yeah, that dude has a
The
cannon.
the thing about Tennessee is their offensive system that they run is like plug and play sort of. I don't know, dude. I'm not big on Tennessee.
I'm not big on them this year.
I don't know.
Strictly because of who they lost on the outside. At receiver.
Tillman and Hyatt.
Jalen Hyatt. Because like when you know who Jalen Hyatt reminded me of in college, like last year? He reminded me of Tyreek Hill. He reminds me of like a Tyreek Hill wide receiver. Just a guy where you're like, every route, straight.
Just burn someone.
Just go straight. Right. Just use your speed and run right past them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I mean. Like, don't get me wrong. Tyreek Hill's one hell of a wide receiver, but that's his strong suit is his speed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think like when you're
it's
looking
manageable.
It's manageable
as a defense. I think it's manageable. I mean, there are going to be those plays where you just get burned if the other guy truly is faster, but that's just football.
Yeah, I mean that's football. You're gonna get burned on plays. It's gonna happen. But like I guess like Tyreek Hill isn't like a route runner like Marv is. You know what I mean? Like Jalen Hyatt, he wasn't a route runner like Marvin Harrison is. Can't run a crisp route. You know.
He's strictly a speed receiver.
And there's nothing wrong with
possession. That. Yeah. No, I mean, you need all these different receivers.
Well, and two, what they did a lot with Tyreek Hill, especially early, was they would line up Kelsey on the outside, next, like in a bunch formation, throw a little screen to him. Kelsey gets that block, and Tyreek was gone down the side. You know what I mean? Like, so there's other ways like you could get them involved, obviously, and use their speed to their benefit. But it was just like, that's why I'm not as high on Tennessee, is they lost a lot of their playmakers.
Yeah, that's fair. I've heard that the defense is stronger this year, but we'll see. I wasn't overly in love with their defense last year, so I don't trust them. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but for now,
I'm always iffy on these teams that like have like recent success.
Yeah, new money. I'm not a big Josh Heupel guy either. Like, if you have a coach that I believe in, for sure, but I don't believe in Josh Heupel just yet.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't enough of sample size from him,
Mm-hmm.
Where like James Franklin, I could say, I like Franklin, but he can't win the big game because I have that sample size. Like with Heupel, it's like we saw one good year. I need a bigger sample size before I can make an opinion, I guess, myself. But like, I wouldn't consider him one of the top coaches in college football.
No.
And then either further than that, I don't see, Okay. Corey and I were kind of talking about this last night or a couple of days ago, and I wanted to get your opinion too. It just popped into my head. Ed Orgeron, Coach O. Do you think he's gonna find a job? Do you think he returns back to the sidelines? Okay. Or timeout. Let me phrase it. Let me phrase it this way. If Penn State's looking like if programs like Penn State are looking at who are on the cusp are looking at moving off of like their current head coach and a coach to get them over the hump, do you think Ed Orgeron is a guy that they could reach out to? Do you think he's that type of a coach who could take you over the hump?
Not at all.
Okay.
I think he got lucky, had a nice run there at LSU, but like post Joe Burrow LSU was a mess culturally. Like it was bad down there. So I think he's not a good culture guy. So I don't think if it were me, I would never hire him as a head coach again. I think he's a defensive guy, so he could be a DC somewhere, but it seems like there were more problems than there were
solutions
or good times. I mean, and there were some good times. 2019, that team was sick, but he also had a phenomenal OC and DC.
Who was their OC that year in 2019?
Josh
McDaniels?
No, Joe Judge, I think.
I gotta look that up now.
I think it was Judge.
I'm gonna look that up now. 2019 LSU.
But I mean, it's kind of hard to fuck up Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase.
It's
kind of hard to fuck that up.
Okay, offensive coordinator was Steve Ensminger.
Okay.
And their defense coordinator was Dave Arnada.
Oh, yeah. Aranda.
Yeah, Aranda, sorry.
And I love Dave Aranda. I am a huge fan. He's the head coach at Baylor right now. I think he's a great dude. I've listened to a couple interviews. He just seems like a dude you would hang out with.
Yeah.
Well, good coach, good defensive guy.
And that's what I was telling Corey too, like with Edo. I think Coach O benefited deeply from having Joe Burrow there.
Definitely. A veteran leader,
yeah.
More veteran team.
Yep.
I agree.
Drew, before we sign off here and let everybody get back to their college football day, because we're now at 12:30.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Nope. Go BG.
Go Falcons. Let's go Buckeyes at 3:30. Let's go Big Ten. Let's have a good Big Ten day.
Yeah, let's get some wins.
All right, everybody. This is the Big Ten signing out. You guys all have a wonderful rest of your Saturday afternoon here. Enjoy college football, baby. It's back.
Yeah.
We'll be back to recap tomorrow some of these games here. Just, talk about what we didn't talk about today. So we'll see you later. Take it easy, fellas. Bye.